If multiplayer teams worked like high school sports teams, I would be picked last pretty much every time. Not because I don't play a lot of games or because I'm particularly bad at them, but because I've never really had a knack for multiplayer shooters, due to my dislike of competitive gaming and my general inability to aim. It's a big part of why I usually just avoid them, since for me that's synonymous with avoiding embarrassment. There's only so many times you can die and spot your name at the bottom of the leaderboard before it's just not fun anymore. But then I got a chance to play Battleborn, Gearbox's take on the hero shooter genre, a place that Blizzard's Overwatch sits in. More specifically, I got to play the MOBA-esque incursion multiplayer mode, where two teams of 5 fight alongside waves of AI to push their way into the opposition's base. After flipping through literally all 25 characters, I opted for a Guardian-looking chick called Galilea, who fights with a sword and a shield. Yep, this shooter also includes a number of characters who, in fact, don't shoot. Half an hour or so later, the match ended. We'd won, and I was at the top of the leaderboard. Most kills, most assists, highest score, and wondering what the hell just happened. Well, here's what happened. I knew from the start that I wanted to go for one of the melee characters because of my whole shit at aiming thing, in addition to being way more confident rushing to the front of the pack and doing close range slashy damage. Galilea was a perfect pick. With a shield and suit of armor, she wasn't so squishy that she was being sniped immediately by the gun-toting characters. And as soon as I could get her in close, 9 out of 10 times it spelled the end for my opponent and not me. For the first time in my gaming life, I played a multiplayer game that catered to the strengths I had to offer to a PvP team. A playstyle based on aggression, speed, and fast, brutal melee combat. I think that's what feels so promising about Battleborn to me. It really feels as if there are so many uniquely different combat styles among the 25 different characters, which will hopefully play to the strengths of different kinds of players. I'm pretty sure anyone could, and probably will, find the character or characters who work best the way they like to play, much like Dota 2 and Street Fighter players do. That said, unlike those games, Battleborn doesn't have terribly complicated systems, and it's pretty easy to pick up and play even if you don't know the mechanics. You point, you shoot, you get up to 3 special abilities to use, and the only resource you really need to worry about is your health. A common point of comparison for Battleborn is hero shooter Overwatch, but with only one true melee-focused character, Reinhardt, it doesn't appear to have the same flexibility and playstyle that I find so exciting in Battleborn. It's still very attached to the idea of being a shooter, and while that's great for those who excel at range, the buck pretty much stops there for the rest of us. Like Overwatch, many multiplayer shooters cater to different kinds of gunplay, but Battleborn throws in all manner of sword fighters and brawlers, on top of their different types of ranged attackers, healers, and supports. It feels like Battleborn balances them all out in a way that leads me to think it has the potential to be much more accessible than team shooters like Overwatch. Another factor which led me to feel this way is that the size of the incursion map I played on was pretty small, so it was easier to stick close to your team, get back to the front line, and contribute to extra tasks along the way, like liberating AI mercenary camps to get your team some extra grunts, or collect shards which can be used to build towers and other defenses. Those kinds of tasks are especially attractive to players who may not feel confident enough to help out on the front line. Without a doubt, this is the kind of game that will undergo a whole lot of rebalancing before it releases. That said, this could be the kind of multiplayer game that your friends can not only easily get on board with, but also find that they're on a relatively level playing field for. I'm excited about the idea of a multiplayer shooter which appears to be flattening the barrier to entry, where players of all levels and expertise can find their own niche playstyle and character, especially those gamers who may have thought they wouldn't or couldn't enjoy themselves in a game like this one. Because I'll tell you what, seeing your name at the top of a leaderboard is bloody fantastic.
Power play. Enemy forces at 40% strength.